Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're ranking Israeli songs from Eurovision from the year 1993 until 2022 into this tier list on screen with 7 different categories. I think everyone already knows how this works. So I'm just gonna get right into it with a country that has a varied amount of success, let's say, in these 30 years we'll cover today. Something that I can say right away is that the first year we're going to talk about today, which is 1993, did not offer a lot of success because this is just certainly not for me. And it wasn't really for anyone in Europe, I think, at the time either. This is an effort with 5 different vocalists who all kind of shout over each other in an incoherent mess. And then there's like a lot of focus on this lady behind the piano. But there's like 4 main vocalists who are focused like in the early parts of the song, and then she just joins in and kind of takes over. It's really odd and it's very confusing to both watch and listen to. Mainly listen to, because I think it's very all over the place, in all honesty. I don't get anything from this one. Shouty, incohesive, and simply not for me. So not a good start here for Israel, but things will get better, I can promise that much. They missed out in 1994, but in 1995 they came back with Amen, which is a very typical, like when I think of Israeli entries from like both the 70s and the 80s, this kind of just pops up, a song like this. Not a bad thing. I think this one is just solid, however. It's quite nice with the whole backing vocal arrangement around it and how it's laid out on stage. It feels very like a unity behind the song and the performance, and for that matter. But the song never really has that elevation that really makes me super intrigued, and I don't really think the melody has enough of an something to latch onto either as a listener, which also kind of also relates to the instrumental, I guess, because the instrumental isn't very interesting to me. So everything is just kind of flat in a little bit, but it also is a pleasant listening experience for what it is, but I would never really go out of my way to listen to it again and to really just enjoy it more than just a little amount, I guess. I think everything is solid, it's well put together, it's well executed, but I'm not overly just enthusiastic about it, I think. So I think it's solid enough, not much more than that. And then they missed out a few more times, like both 96 and 97 we didn't have Israel in the contest, but in 98 of course they came back and won it, which I'm sure many people already know. Diva is kind of just a classic. It's so upbeat and so catchy and memorable, with both the choreography and like the backing vocalists and of course Dana herself in the middle of it. It's just really quite iconic, in all honesty, which is kind of maybe its main selling point. But I really do think there's a very great hook here, and the instrumental beat is incredibly energetic and just enjoyable. So I really think this is a really great one, if I do say so myself, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I would say that I would have enjoyed Happy Birthday an equal amount, but I just can't connect with it. It's also the same type of like upbeat and kind of energetic type of backing track. I just don't really connect with the melody, I guess, and kind of the chorus and the overall arrangement. It's nice that we have different vocalists and the way they work together. They're all very happy on stage and really provide a great vibe. But I can't connect with the song. I think it's a bit uninteresting, and melodically it doesn't really connect with me. So I would think I would put this one in the I like it but category, because I don't really attach myself to the song, in all honesty. I like them and I like the whole approach of it, that it's so upbeat and kind of just harmless. But I just can't connect with the song. So I'll put it down here. That is still way higher though than where I'm gonna put the next song, because I don't know what the song is called, but everyone just calls it Be Happy, right? It's so awful that I can't even put into words how bad I think it is. The vocal performance is so incredibly flat and just really dry. It sounds quite horrendous, in all honesty. And then you have this melody hook, which is insanely uninteresting, and The beat is quite obnoxious, but what really just makes it awful is the whole performance of it and the vocals of it. But also just the main hook is quite just ludicrous with how poorly written it is. A long OO note being held out and then shouting "Be happy, everyone together," followed up with some incredibly cheesy melody that sounds like it comes from a kid's show. It just doesn't work. Everything collapses here. I quite dislike it quite heavily, in all honesty. I think most people do. Maybe some people can find it a bit funny, I guess. Yeah, let's move on. 2001, we have Ein Davar or something like that. It's okay. I just think it's quite uninteresting, and it's a bit like the backing vocals I think are quite shouty in this one, which is kind of off-putting in my opinion. There's like something in both in the instrumental and in the hook of this song that is quite, ethnically tangible, which I quite like. But I really do think the backing vocals are just too shouty to really just kind of create a pleasant listening experience and a cohesive one at that. So I'll put it in the I like it but, because I think there are setbacks in this one which just doesn't work for me, simply put. Yeah. Still, there's a hook in here which I quite like. In 2002, I think this one is better. This is atmospheric. I think the verses are really great. And then this song kind of has that issue of it sounding like two songs have just been thrown together, because the chorus is a bit out of place, but it's also quite cheesy in a way, I guess. The verses are so atmospheric and just kind of emotionally loaded, I think. And then the chorus feels a bit like an easy way out, an easy solution to have this hook being sung in English for the first thing. But then also, like, the content of it isn't very deep, I guess. And it's one of these hopeful messages, but it comes across as a bit over the top for me personally. But I still think there's something in the song that makes me want to put it in solid. I enjoy it, I really do. But I just don't... It could have definitely been higher if more of the song revolved around the kind of approach that the verses have taken in this one. But that's not the case. Still, solid enough. 2003, I think, is way more than solid. This is fun. This is really creative. I like the language switches. The energy of the song is great. The choreography and the performance on stage is fantastic. Like, if we just judge the performance, I would say that this is up in fantastic. But the song, it's not like the most overly interesting, I guess, but it's just really enjoyable and really fun. Yeah, it gets a bit repetitive towards the end, I think, but just like the whole tackiness and the fun approach they've taken and everything here, it just makes this really great for me. I always enjoy watching this one. Whenever I watch 2003, which I will admit happens at times, I'm quite fond of that year in particular. This is always just one of the ones that I have to just watch every single second of and just love and enjoy every moment of it. Really great. 2004 is... The chorus is really quite something in this one. I just don't feel like I kind of vibe with the whole collective thing here of the song. And the verses aren't really too interesting to me. But I really like the vocal approach that the chorus has. It's not super memorable, but I still just like the approach taken here. I think that warrants a place in the I like it but category, because I don't really vibe with the verses and I don't connect with the song all too much. It's a bit on the slow side as well, but the chorus has something in it that I really do like, so we'll place it in here. 2005 is a way more than I like it but. This one is just I like it. Really great. Fantastic vocal performance. Well-flowing song, like it's well-structured, has a great flow to it. Nice chorus melody. There's like this switch up between, like when it switches to English, which, to be honest, I'm kind of torn on that choice because I don't really like it. But at the same time, it kind of offers, I guess, an easier way for the audience to connect with it. So maybe it was a good trick to use because they did so well with it. But I think the main standout here is just the whole atmosphere of the song, and the vocal performance just really works. It's quite heartfelt and I really enjoy it. So a really great one, that one as well. 2006, this is not for me. Together We Are One. It's it's not my type of music for the first thing, so I'll admit that. But I just really can't get behind what they're doing here and their attempt of creating this really inviting and charming atmosphere. It's admirable what they want to do, but I just don't click with it. I think the hook is quite stale. The song doesn't really have a progression, which I'm too fond of. Very uninteresting. It's nice that they're so united on stage and they really seem like they're having fun performing together, but that's really where it all ends for me, to be honest. So now that's a not for me. Push the Button, I think everyone just wonders what happened here. I think this is better than the Be Happy song, because I kind of think this is a little bit funny, but it's also just such a mess and so many odd sounds everywhere and clustered pieces of just weirdness being thrown together. The hook is quite annoying while also being a bit funny just by how absurd it is, I think. Like, it's done with the purpose of being, you know, just weird. And they've succeeded in that, but at the same time, I mean, it is a music contest, and the song doesn't really have anything that I can really compliment, I think. So we'll put it down there. Now let's actually move into, I'm gonna throw out the first fantastic here. Fire in Your Eyes, I think this one is called. I love the vocal performance of this song, and I think the melody is really strong. Also, the atmosphere behind, like, the backing track is really strong. I like the stage layout. I think the main part is, like, just the instrumental and the sound of it. Like, the instrumentation is really great here. Really just takes you into the place of the song where it's, like, its own context, which I really like. And it's just so well sung. I think it's fantastic. It's one that I always really enjoy for the entire runtime of it. It's just so great. So yeah, fantastic one for me. 2009, I think this one is quite solid. There Must Be Another Way. Like, the message of it is, of course, the standout part, but I also really like the whole constant drumming of the song, how they're playing the percussion throughout, and while also, you know, kind of really highlighting the message of it and the unity that's behind the song. It's really quite palpable, I think. I just maybe would have wished for the hook to be a bit more in your head, I guess. Like, easier to get stuck in your head and really have a bit more of melodic variation. The verses aren't too interesting either. There are parts of the song which I really, really like the melody of, but then there are parts where I just kind of zone out. Which is quite a shame for when you have a song with a message like this. But at the same time, I think it's performed very well and it just works. I just think that the potential is there for something to really just kind of connect with me further, but it doesn't really reach there. Still solid, I would say. And then 2010, we're back with a fantastic one, in my opinion. Milim is gut-wrenching. I think just a flawless ballad throughout. It's so well written. I love the piano arrangement. I love how the strings just join in and create this grand, epic finale to the song as well. I'd say it's a major setback is of course, the infamous vocal crack that happens towards the end in the final performance, which is such a massive shame because otherwise it's 3 minutes of just pure ballad perfection in my book. I love everything about it. I love the way that it's staged as well. You know, you can't go wrong with a nice suit and then some blue lights behind it and just singing your heart out to a pretty well-written ballad. It just works. Fantastic in my book. 2011, Donna International came back and kind of just ruined the impression that I had of her, I guess. Ding Dong is such an awful song, I really have to say so. I'll put it in what happened here because I can't get behind why anyone decided to pick this song out of everything. The beat is so uninteresting while also sounding pretty bad. The chorus is so monotonous and so boring and just like so stuck in the low register that you can't really get any melodic enjoyment out of it. It's just so uninteresting and flat, and I quite have a really great issue with it because we know that she deserves something better and that she could do something so much better. But here, this is just melodically so uninteresting, and the instrumental sounds awful. So, no, what happened here? 2012. I think this is really charming. I really enjoy this one, to be honest. It's so done with the right approach, I think. The instrumental is really interesting throughout. It's very playful with how all of the instruments work together. The written part of it is also very great with the rhythmic little details that they throw in here. It's a very playful guitar arrangement and how it just works with the rest of the backing track as well. And then these just odd vocal harmonies and vocal styles being thrown all together. It just works. I think it's really charming. I understand that it can also be really, really off-putting. So I'm completely understanding of if you have that kind of approach or that kind of opinion on it. But I think it's really great. I just have so much fun with it and I enjoy it so much that I'll have to put it up here. 2013, Rak Bishvilo. This is also a very pretty ballad. I guess just didn't quite connect with the audiences around Europe to really make it go through to the final. But it's still well written. The language sounds very pretty when it's being sung in a song like this. The vocal performance is great. I think I just have to put it in really great because I can't find any flaws with it, really. Maybe it's not really just going all the way with the kind of final chorus, kind of like Milim does. It doesn't really have that final elevation, but still I think the overall package of it is just great. So, yeah. It's a weird one how it didn't make it, but we'll... we still have this gem in the Eurovision catalog to go back and watch if we want to, so that's something. 2014, Same Heart. This is, it's upbeat, it has a good backing track. I think the instrumental is quite strong, has a great melody to it, although questions can always be asked whether it's actually their melody or if they're taking it. If you know, you know. But still, the chorus is quite catchy. I think the melody of it is very great, and it's also performed quite well. Performance doesn't really interest me too much, but maybe it's just because I haven't watched enough. I think it's solid. I think it does what it wants to do. Doesn't really do anything outstanding, so I'll put it in here. And I think it's gonna get some company from 2015 here, Golden Boy. This is just not really... like, it's such a weird one because it has so many different parts to it. You know, the chorus feels very out of place when the transitions just chop in. It's a catchy hook, and it's a fun performance, which really works. But then you also have this really kind of dramatic parts of the song, which, you know, just kind of make too much of a contrast to the other parts when it's not done with like a finesse between the transitions. So I just kind of have an issue with it there, but I still think it's, you know, solid enough to really rank among the other songs here. Has a catchy hook, has a great performance to it, and I do like the more dramatic parts as well on their own. It's just that it becomes kind of like a mismatch throughout the song, but it's enjoyable for what it is. And it's of course very needed in the 2015 final, which is so ballad heavy. This song really just is required to be in there, which kind of makes me like it a little bit more, I guess. 2016, I'm starting to see a pattern of which songs I put in the fantastic category, because Made of Stars is one of my favorite male ballads of the modern Eurovision period. Production quality is great. I'm loving the backing track so much. Like, the piano arrangement is so beautiful, and I love how the song actually progresses and adds more instruments and really creates a journey-like type of progression throughout the runtime of the song. Also very well sung. I like the staging with the spinning, whatever you call it, like the man inside the wheel or whatever that's just spinning. It looks nice, and the lighting on stage is just flawless, which really just makes it work. And then you have the whole skyfall of pyro towards the end. It looks great. It sounds great. I love the final chorus of it. It just like ties everything together so nicely while the song has opened up so minimalistically. I guess that's a word. I think you understand what I mean anyway. Just really love it. I think everything's just nailed perfectly here. 2017, I Feel Alive. Vocally quite shaky, I think, this one. It's upbeat, it's catchy. I like the instrumental hook towards the end. And I do also think that like this house type club-like beat of the chorus is also quite strong. It's just that I can't really connect with. I think the vocal performance is quite weak, and even though the performance is fun for the 3 minutes that it goes on, I think I'll have to put it down in the I like it but, because I wouldn't really set out to watch this one. Listening to the studio track, I'm a bit uninterested in it, but I also can just kind of enjoy it for what it is. I could have it on in the background and I wouldn't mind, but I wouldn't probably ever choose this song to put on in my playlist. But if it comes on, I wouldn't skip it. I think that makes sense. But the performance, yeah, it's a bit of a meh for me personally. Still, there are things about it I like. It's upbeat, it's catchy, it's quite nice for what it is, but not much more, in my opinion. 2018, I think, like, what really the thing here is that it's just not for me. It feels harsh to put it in that category, though, because what the strength of Toy is just the creativity, and like how creatively they've been using sound design and sound effects and really just put together, you know, piece of music while just throwing together different elements and different ideas so much that they've just kind of created a cohesive listening experience, which is quite, in all honesty, it's quite impressive how they put it together, because it really feels like a very united song. It's quite strong. It has a great hook to it, especially like the instrumental backing track. It's very powerful and enjoyable, I think. And I also do think the vocal performance is quite strong. It's just like this whole approach of trying to make it more silly than it already is. Like the ideas that they've thrown in here are silly, and that's charming. And what makes it impressive is that they really make these parts work so well into a song. The whole songwriting aspect of this is very impressive. I'm not really a fan of really trying to hammer home how silly you want to be by making, you know, silly facial expressions and making chicken noises. It just kind of oversells the point of, oh, look how silly we are, and look how we take this contest. We don't take it seriously because this is what we do. That's kind of just the feeling that I get, which is a shame. I get it if that's not their intent, but yeah, it just doesn't really work with me. That doesn't sit right with me. Could definitely try and focus more on what how well you've actually created this song and put that in focus. But I shouldn't sit there and complain about it, because the approach they took was just right for winning the whole contest. So they should be happy with that. So I think I'll have to put it in this category, because I do like the song. I think there's so much to admire about it. But there's also things about it that I just don't really get along with, and that I would have wished them for doing something different with. But that's just me, and that's the beauty of it. In 2019, this definitely connects with me way more. I just kind of feel like I want to make this like a perfect quartet up here. It just looks like I'm a sucker for male ballads, which I think I probably am, but I think this one hits home so well. I'm not a massive fan of the instrumental revamp they did, but like when you watch it live, you just don't care. You just go all in for this incredible vocal performance. I like the staging as well, with him walking out on the little, what do you call them, like the arms of the stage, I guess, where he walks out. The crowd's reception to it is fantastic. The lighting is great. And then the final, you know, notes of him just kind of holding out, and the final, like the closing moment of the song is really, really touching. And I think the final chorus is also very hard-hitting. There's a great melody to it. I like the instrumentation behind it. Even though they changed it, there's still core ideas in there which are great, in my opinion. I always get shivers watching the performance, which is obviously a fantastic thing. And I think the song is quite fantastic, in all honesty. It's a shame they did so poorly with it, which I will probably never understand. But, you know, I'm usually not very in much agreement with the rest of Europe and the rest of audiences and stuff like that. Regardless, we're gonna move on. And I realized that there's a song missing. Whoopsie-doo. There's obviously Fekkerli B here, which is missing. So we'll just have to, you just have to listen to me and just have to imagine it being there, because this would be up in the fantastic category. So yeah, Fekirli B, I love the energy of it. I love the unique approach of it. There's like this variation of instrumental approaches, which I'm super fond of. The chorus is very bouncy and very upbeat and quite club inspired, while also having this really, you know, just kind of a harmless approach with a fun sing-along chorus, which just works. And then the transition into the breakbeat B section of the chorus is fantastic when the instrumental switches up and the rhythmic patterns also change up and becomes a half beat instead. It's just such a hard-hitting part of the song, which I love. I also love the choreography that they had for the national final. It would have been such a joy to watch it on the Eurovision stage, in all honesty. I think it's one of those that really got away from us, because the song Set Me Free, which came the year after, I think this is still really great, but I rate Fekirli B so much higher than it, in all honesty. I think it's so much greater because it has these really interesting sound design approaches and such. But Set Me Free, it's also quite... I like the instrumental approach they have here. These really... like the synth work and the sound design of everything in the background. It's really strong and really charming, and I like it. And there's also a lot of fun vocal styles being thrown in here. The rhythmic approaches of the vocal melodies at parts is great. It's really just easy to get along with. And her vocal performance is very strong. Also staged quite nicely. There's, of course, the famous high note, which is, you know, it's a bit tacky, but it's also quite cool. Yeah, just the overall package, really great. But it's not really a Fekirli B for me, personally. And then in 2022, we have I Am. And I think this is incredibly charming. I enjoy this way more than I probably should. But this is also really great for me, personally. The performance, I think, is quite fun, like with the whole choreography and everything. But what really just works for me is the song and its approach that it has, and how much just focus has been put on just making it fun. The sound design is fun. The production quality is actually really great, I think. The vocal melodies are, you know, there is this section in the song which is just the same as from the song Wine Up. But I can look past that, because I do just like the overall feeling of everything way more to just kind of drag it down because of that. I think the vocal melodies are great. I think the instrumental sounds great. I'm quite a big fan of this whole whistling hook or whatever it is. But especially because of how it works with the dynamic of the backing track as well. It's very hard-hitting, quite bombastic, very polished. And there's also, you know, there's this section in the verses which just always get me when the drumming picks up, like the rhythm really kicks in halfway through the verse. It just always drags me into the song. It's done with so much finesse and so much class. No, class is kind of a wrong word for it, but it's done just right to really just get the audience going with the song because of the way it opens. I mean, the opening is kind of silly in a way, I think, but also just really sets the tone. And then when the rhythm actually kicks in with it, it just works. It just kind of just connects everything and really makes me happy. And I'm happy for the 3 minutes that this goes on, and I could watch it over and over again, in all honesty. I think it's really great. And that is my tier list. A bit of a... I'll apologize for missing out to include Fekirli B. I'm sure that I included it when I made the tier, but there are sometimes some issues with this website, and they don't really include everything that you ask it to. So I'll apologize for that one. But yeah, I would put Fekirli B up here in case so that you know. Yeah, that's my tier list for Israel. And next up is Italy. I think you all know that Italy is up next, and that's probably the most exciting one out of all of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as I can in that video. Until then, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.